One more. This is mine. So I'm going to ask my family to be here with me. This will be a hard one. Corey? You know, okay. Fair enough. All right. First and foremost, I'd like to express what a great dad Ken was to myself and Dione, loving husband to Pam, amazing grandfather to 5 grandchildren, father-in-law to Corey and Leon. Dad's reputation always preceded him. People look forward to spending time with him. Who can picture Dad without that massive grin, smile and laugh? That's the image of Dad whenever I think of him. I will forever be grateful for the time I got to spend with Dad, and we really did get to spend so much time together, seeing as we shared so many hobbies and interests, starting when I was young with card games like Switch It and Cribbage and 500, then this has been mentioned so many times, then Trivial Pursuit. We would sit and challenge each other for hours, then golf and snooker, and eventually croquet, all of which, from quite a very young age, we of course played for money. A victory without money changing hands felt like a hollow victory for both of us. This seems to be a trait handed down through our generations. When my kids ever spent time with Pa, a game of cards or pool or croquet was usually on the menu. Then, of course, was our shared passion for lacrosse. I was never as successful as Dad, but I never felt any pressure to be so. He was a stumpy, vicious right-handed defender. I was a skinny, timid left-handed forward. In fact, I was probably just the kind of player Dad would like to intimidate. I used to go watch the box lacrosse when Dad was umpiring. He really loved that game. When I was 11 or 12, I would often be the timer of penalties in the penalty box. And when the penalised player would come in and whinge to me, "That Kenny's got no idea what he's doing. What a dickhead." I'd just nod and say, "Yeah, I know." They had no idea who I was. Then at the end of the night, I'd go and have a few shots at goal, and just when that offended player would walk past me or Dad on the way out, I'd yell out to Kenny, "Hey, Dad, can we go yet?" The look on those players' faces when they realised they called my dad a dickhead right from my place was priceless. We laughed about that often in the car and on the way home. They say blood is thicker than water. However, with Dad, I reckon at times lacrosse was thicker than blood. I was playing lacrosse at Melbourne Uni for 2 years. One day, we were playing against Altona and Dad was coaching Altona against his own son. I'd scored 4 goals in the first half. Just before half-time, I took a pass on the crease, scored my 5th and got absolutely cleaned up by an ex-teammate of mine growing up named John O'Roberts. It took some moments for the air to return to my lungs. As I stumbled back to my feet, all I could hear from the sidelines was my dad yelling out, "Great check, Jono, great check." I think one of Dad's greatest traits was that he just enjoyed the company of others and wanted them to enjoy themselves too. He'd always start a game of cards at Altona Lacrosse Club after training or a Saturday night just to get people to hang around the club longer or win their money. I'm not sure which one was his main incentive there. We'd play golf on Friday mornings and I was really self-conscious when I was learning at how bad I was. When we were headed to the course, the plan was to be just the 2 of us playing. But so often he would ask a stranger who was on their own if they wanted to join us. And I hated that. I just wanted to play with Dad and not embarrass myself in front of a stranger. But that was Dad. That is how so many of his friendships have been forged over the years by random moments of kindness and friendliness. Just like the time he picked up 2 smelly American hitchhikers in New Zealand over 40 years ago. And they were still family friends until the day he passed. He made friends with a young Danish bloke named Per, 20 years his junior, on a trip to North Queensland. And Per ended up hosting Dione and I on separate occasions in Denmark for Christmas, years later. Forgive me for not mentioning all the random long-term friendships Dad has made over the years. There are just too many to mention. Even on a bushwalk or just a walk down the street, he always said g'day to acknowledge the passerby's presence. He just couldn't help himself. He never had his head down. I always thought, can't you just walk by someone without ever saying hello? I did find it awkward at times, but as I've grown older, I find myself doing the same. He had taught me a great lesson. So that's why I do it, kids. I can't help it either. One day you'll do it too. And what a great pa and father-in-law he has been. He was so welcoming to Corey and our family, and I know she loved him too. He has instilled a great sense of adventure and love of travel in us all. He's travelled the world to so many great destinations and set a great example to broaden your horizons. See as much as you can, meet as many people as you can, and have as many experiences as you can. And not to mention the hours and hours of diving competitions and dancing concerts and school plays. We said all that before. Speaking of swimming, we were so lucky to work together for 20 years at the swim school. He was so loved by the students he taught and by the staff he worked with. He was instrumental and passionate about starting up their adult classes along with Donna. We said that before too. I will always remember and cherish my last conversation with Dad before I left to go overseas a month ago. It was about how we used to remember all our holidays by what location I either vomited from travel sickness or what needle I ended up having to get after such incidences as coral poisoning and being bitten by a monkey in Bali. You can pin these on an atlas of where these things happen. He loved that story and he had the biggest laugh as I said goodbye. I didn't know it was going to be the last time I saw him, but it's a nice memory and I am glad that was the last conversation that we had. That was the tone of our conversation. It was a nice moment. Ironically, we just returned from Europe and had to use an EpiPen on my daughter twice. Not once, sorry, but twice. So it looks like that tradition is going to continue as well. I recently saw this quote from someone named Osho, and I think it's a philosophy Dad would agree with and lived his life by. I don't think existence wants you to be serious. I have not seen a serious tree. I have not seen a serious bird. I have not seen a serious sunrise. I have not seen a serious starry night. It seems they are all laughing in their own ways, dancing in their own ways. We may not understand it, but there is a subtle feeling that the whole existence is a celebration. I think that sums Dad up. I don't remember Dad being very serious very often, and he certainly did live life like it was a celebration. Dad was able to use humour and wit to lighten many potentially serious circumstances he found himself in. My favourite story illustrating this was when he was driving to Jamison for an end-of-season Altona lacrosse club trip. He was accompanied by Graham Sharp, a bloke at least 6'4" and over 100 kilograms with a big black bushy beard. Dad was pulled over close to midnight by a female policewoman. Sharpie quickly hid the cask of red they were sharing under the passenger seat. It was pitch black outside, and when she came to the window and shone her torch on Dad, she asked, did he have any reason for speeding? He quickly responded, I'm rushing my pregnant wife to hospital. She's in labour. She shone the torch on Sharpie, who quickly reacted with... Needless to say, they were both let off with a warning. And Mum, whilst you're here, still with us and able to appreciate it, I want to let you know, and everyone in here know how important you are. You worked full-time, raised us full-time, ran and organised the household. None of the achievements Dad has been praised for today would have been possible without you. They say behind every great man is a great woman. You are the greatest woman I know. I just want you to hear that, Mum. All right, last paragraph, and this is just me talking to Dad. To finish up, I want to send a message to Dad, just in case he can hear it. I know you're a bit of an agnostic, Dad, so who knows where you are right now. But just in case you were wrong, and there is an afterlife, I reckon you're up there drinking the red again, organising a card game with old friends, and learning some new game or sport, getting a head start, just waiting for me to arrive. Patiently, I hope, I'm in no rush. With my wallet fully loaded so we can play that new game and restart our rivalry again. For money, of course. Love you, Dad. Miss you. Thank you.